Now that you have WampServer up and running on your computer, we can go ahead and launch a website. In this tutorial, I will show you how to install some freely available platforms for publishing on the web. First, I will download WordPress, a popular blogging platform, and then Drupal, a popular content management system. Second, I will show you where to place them within the WampServer architecture. Next, I will review how to create a database for each platform, and then I will install each platform. Future tutorials will go over WordPress and Drupal separately and in greater detail, covering how to customize the appearance, set up a subtheme, install and use plugins, and much more. Now let's download the two platforms and explore the WampServer file system. Download WordPress and Drupal. First, let's open a browser and go to wordpress.org. In the top right corner, click the Get WordPress button beneath the search bar. Click the Download WordPress 5.5 button, or whatever version of WordPress is currently available. The button is in the middle of the page. Click OK when the dialog box opens on your screen. The zip folder will go to your Downloads folder if you are using Windows 10. Now let's go to Drupal.org. In the main menu, hover your mouse over the Try Drupal tab and choose Download in the submenu. Click the Download Drupal zip button in the middle of the page. Click OK when the dialog box opens on your screen. Move your zip folders into WampServer's www directory. Open up a file folder in Windows and go to the Downloads directory. Select and cut the zip folders for WordPress and Drupal. Now let's navigate to the This PC directory. Open the C drive folder. Open the WAMP64 directory. Open the www folder. Now this is where you will be storing anything that you want to be accessible via a web browser. Paste the zip folders in this directory. Again, please note that we are using WampServer as a test server, and I have not discussed how to configure WampServer to be available to the public. I might make a tutorial on how to do that in the future, but I prefer to either use a Linux server or a web hosting company like GoDaddy, Bluehost, or a number of other companies that are available to host a website. So again, we're using WampServer just to test out these different content management systems. Extract WordPress and Drupal. Right-click each zip folder and choose Extract All. Click Extract when the dialog box opens. Delete the zip folders after extracting the files. You should rename your Drupal and WordPress folders to something simple. You can use the name of the website that you want to build. For now, I'll just leave them as Drupal and WordPress respectively. Okay, one thing to keep in mind is that after we extracted the files for Drupal and WordPress, Windows created a secondary folder to house the folders we extracted. So what that means is that we should go into WordPress and move all of the files and subdirectories down one level. So I will highlight everything, cut it, and paste it into the root WordPress folder. And I'm going to do the same thing for Drupal. Create databases. In your browser, type localhost/phpMyAdmin, or just click the WampServer icon in your taskbar tray and choose phpMyAdmin. Log in as root and you do not need a password. If you want to make your server public, then you will want to create a password for phpMyAdmin, but that's not necessary for this tutorial. Click Go. Choose New in the left-hand column listing your existing databases. Give the database a name. You can name them WordPress or Drupal if you do not plan to create multiple Drupal or WordPress sites. Otherwise, it will be confusing trying to differentiate each database you have for each install of WordPress or Drupal. You can also name the database after your website. For the collation, I will choose UTF-8 General CI. Click Create. Let's repeat these steps for Drupal. Just be sure to remember the names of the databases, as we will need that information once we start to install our websites. Install WordPress. In your browser, type in localhost/WordPress, or whatever you change the name of your WordPress directory to in step 3 of this tutorial. Now the first step is to choose a language we want to work with. I'm going to be using English. Click Continue. Now this next screen is asking for basic information about our database that we will need when we install WordPress. Let's click Let's Go. I left the database name as WordPress. The username is root. The password is blank. Database host is localhost, and this is fine for the table prefix. Now click Submit. Now let's click the Run the Installation button. I need to give my site a name, so I will call it Test Site 1. Now, if you're creating a website that you're going to be posting on a publicly available server, admin is not a good username because any hacker is going to just assume that that's going to be the username of choice. So I could do something a little bit safer, like calling it admin Timothy. My email I will fill in off camera, and then I will click the Install WordPress button at the bottom. Be sure to write down your password, otherwise you might forget it. So my username is admin Timothy. My password, I'm going to just paste it in. I'm going to click Login. And there you see the dashboard for WordPress. Install Drupal. In your browser, type in localhost/Drupal, or whatever you change the name of your Drupal directory to in step 3. Now we can begin going through the installation process for Drupal. On the first screen, I'm going to just use English as my language. Click Save and Continue. On this screen, I'm going to use the standard installation profile, and then I will click Save and Continue. For the database type, we're using MariaDB. For the database name, it was Drupal. The database username is root. There wasn't a database password. Under Advanced Options, I'm going to leave everything as it is. Now we'll click Save and Continue. Now it will take a few moments for Drupal to install to our server. On this final screen, we will first need to give our website a name. I will call it Test Site 2. Keep in mind that we can always change the name of our website later. I will add my email address off camera. For the username, I will again use admin Timothy. For the password, I will create something at random. I will have to add my email address once again. For the default country, I will choose the United States. New York is my time zone. And then I will click Save and Continue at the bottom of the screen. Now you can see that the installation was complete, and this is what the website looks like by default. Next steps. The first thing that you will need to decide is whether you want to learn how to use WordPress or Drupal. I will be creating a separate sequence of videos for each platform, starting with WordPress since it tends to be the most popular and it has a lot of user-generated features to choose from. One final note about WampServer is that we did not open a port for email or configure it to work with an email client. So if you forget your password, then you will want to delete your database and reinstall your site. If you have been working on your website for a while and you lose your password and need WordPress or Drupal to send you an email to reset your password, then you may be able to add an email client and configure your PHP INI file to send email. It's more than likely that you will have to install a SMTP server. I have not attempted to do this yet, but I will consider it for a future tutorial. Review. Before you go, let's review the main takeaways from this tutorial. You will want to go to your C drive and look for the WAMP64 folder. Inside that folder, you will see a directory called www. That is where you will store all of your content that will be live on the web. You will use phpMyAdmin to create your databases. To navigate to your website, type localhost / and then the name of the folder that is holding your website within the www directory. Thank you for watching this tutorial.